the things that I want to talk about is the pressure that is being put on ministries. Um, and this pressure comes as a result of certain understanding or misunderstanding, I should say. Let me say here, for example, the statistics that we all know. I mean, it's a very open statistics. You go on online, Google, and you say, churches, and it will pop up to you. There are 4,000 new churches that are coming up on an annual basis. I mean, 4,000 churches being set up. Whether with 501c3 or without 501c3, statistically in America, there are 4,000 churches that are newly established annually. Now, take that and ponder something that will interest you here. There are 7,000 churches that are closing doors also annually. Now, that is something of concern. Now, there are 380,000 registered churches in the United States. Registered churches. Now, take 380,000 some registered churches, 4,000 of which come in annually, and 7,000 of which close annually. Now, it will not be a big mathematical analysis for you to know how soon it will take to wipe out the churches in America. And that is something that is concerning. That gives me a little bit of a concern. So you have a net loss of 3,000 churches every year. Now, if you're talking of 380,000 and 3,000 annually, well, it would not take a long time before you would no longer hear about churches in America. And that drives me into the next thing I want to talk about. And that has to do with pastors. Because we need to know how to sustain our churches. We need to know what to do in order to keep churches alive. Pastors are having great difficulties maintaining their churches. Pressures of finances, pressures of family, pressures of even their jobs that they do. There are so many pressures that the pastors are confronted with. And they have the issues of how will they feed their families, how will they maintain themselves. They even have the fear of failure. And as a result of this, they have to employ manipulations many times. And they have to even fleece the sheep that God places under their care. Now, if you fleece a sheep that God places under your care, all the time cutting the wool, it will not take a long time before that wool gets cold and possibly die out. So I have this thing that I want to tell the pastors. Number one, you need to avail yourself of all the opportunities that are available here in the United States. The United States of America happens to be a place of opportunity. It is a land where you can get help by asking questions, by knowing what exactly you want. But if you don't know what you want, America is not going to tap at your door and say, here am I want to help you. You have to discover what it is that you want, both for yourself and for your ministry. And one of the things that I want to talk about also has to do with the direction that you want to go as a pastor. For a church, is your church registered? If your church is not registered, you have an issue there. Well, you cannot get help. And if you don't get help, it will not take a long time before your church dies out. So go out there, find out how to register your church, 501c3. It might sound simplistic, but you can do it. Follow the rules. Get out there. Ask for help. People will help you to get 501c3 done. And 501c3 opens the door for you to get help financially. It also creates that opportunity for you for non-tax in that business, in the church. So all of the pressures that you hitherto will have, now all of a sudden, because you have 501c3, those problems will begin to get eased out. I'm not saying that they will be totally removed, but that seems to be one major thing that could help you to know the direction you want to go. The next thing that I want to talk about is Paul, for example, wrote half. He wrote 13 of the 26, 27 books in the New Testament. And if he wrote half, he was a busy man. I mean, imagine how Paul will keep writing. And you know what? We were told that Paul studied under this man that was called Professor Gamaliel. Now, Professor Gamaliel, a very outstanding man, stood for him at the beginning of his ministry. And then, when now all of a sudden, trials, temptations, issues of life come against Paul, he was able to stand firm and says, like as I was taught by Gamaliel. And hear me, brethren, the issue here is not for you to want to do it all by your strength. Paul never did it all by his strength. But you know, he sought God's direction. Ordinarily, he would have faced the law. Because this guy being a Pharisee, he knew the law. And he knew the law on both sides of the pages of the book. He was very, very versed. But lo and behold, a man who was so well versed in law became a realtor, a real estate person. The scripture tells us that he joined with Aquila and Priscilla, and they were tent makers. In other words, in today's language, he became a realtor. So, I mean, if Paul, who wrote half of the New Testament, busy man, sound in law, knew that he needed something to join with his ministry in order to make it work. I wonder why many of you still have issues. And I'm not saying to you that God cannot supply your needs, but I'm only just saying to you that your God also will be honored when you use whatever it is that he places at your disposal, whatever it is that he gives you as an opportunity to be able to help your family and help the ministry that you are called in to do. All right, so I'll talk about that. And then the other side I want to talk about also has to do with many of your people in the church, particularly I'm talking now to pastors, many of your people in the churches who don't even know what exactly they want to do. Many of them seem not to know that they are called to a particular vocation. They don't know. I mean, someone who knows how to write and writes very clearly. Could it be that he is called to be a journalist? And does he have a part in the church? Does he have a part in the community that he lives in? Someone who is very well versed in analysis. Could it be that this person could help you in administration? Could it be someone who knows how to write, tabulate things and put your numbers together, your expenses together? Could it be that he's an accountant and a bookkeeper and could be a successful bookkeeper? Could it be that someone who can talk to families and who can encourage other people? Could it be that that person is involved in counseling? There are vocations that a number of our church members could get involved in. You as a pastor, you have it as an opportunity to be able to help them. And that's why we have in Christ Ambassadors, another arm of Christ Ambassadors that is called Ideas Definition. Ideas Definition. We will guide you, first of all, as a pastor, to know what your call is, encourage you to know how to fulfill that call. And also, once you can know how to situate yourself, now you're in a position to be able to help others who are with you in the churches. So that precisely, and in a nutshell, is what we are called to do here. We are adding value by God's grace to the ministry. Many have been, coming in asking for counseling on how to set up their churches, on how to set up their businesses, on how to make their businesses work, and on also how to answer God's call for their lives. In other words, how to fulfill destiny. And if you are in such a need, feel free, contact me, let me know. And I'll be more than happy to assist you. We'll be there to, guide you the way. And God helping all of us, you will succeed. And I wish you the very, very best.